Many of you know that I'm a personal trainer, and as such I've always had an interest in health and taking care of myself and my family. I was careful to make sure that the foods that I cooked and prepared were healthy and that my kids were taken care of well. We didn't go to the doctor very often because I didn't often follow their advice even when they gave it to me, so I kind of did my own thing and was very careful to take care of myself. Since my mom had had breast cancer, I was very much afraid of developing it myself, so I was careful to follow all of the regulations and the things that the American Cancer Society said were important, and except of course for mammograms, because I really believed that they were bad for you. I also exercised a lot, and I kind of saw all of those things as kind of being an insurance policy against developing cancer. Cancer wasn't going to claim my life the way it did my mother's life. I was going to be very careful not to allow anything to come into my life that was bad for me. But one day I developed, or actually for over a period of time, I developed an odd tingling sensation, which caused me to call my doctor. And after seeing my doctor, they wanted me to have a mammogram, which I did, and then an ultrasound, and ultimately a biopsy. And when the results came in and I got the phone call from my doctor, I learned that I had breast cancer. I couldn't figure out how it happened, and I couldn't figure out what I did wrong. The weeks that followed were just kind of a blur as I went through a series of tests. And they were scary because they were not good for me, and my doctor's appointments were scary leading up to my surgery in December. After the surgery, and I was somewhat recovered, I decided that I was going to try even harder to make sure that there weren't any things that were coming into my life that were bad for me, food-wise, and I eliminated red meat, and I eliminated dairy from my diet. I read everything I could on nutrition and how that impacted cancer, and the harder I tried to control the things that were happening to me, the worse things got. I had panic attacks, and every time I had to go to the oncologist, I was just scared half to death. I rarely got a good night's sleep, as I would wake suddenly filled with tremendous fear. And even though people who were praying for me told me that they were sure that I was healed, I just had trouble believing it. And I felt like I had to do something more. I felt as if I had to do something more, so I prayed as if everything depended upon God, but I was really acting as if everything depended upon me. One morning as I was spending time with the Lord, I heard Him clearly say to me that I was trusting myself and I wasn't really trusting Him. I was really depending upon myself and trusting myself and feeling as though I had some kind of control over my life. While I was busy taking things out of my diet and adding things into my diet, I really wasn't trusting the Lord to be taking care of me, even though I know that in the past He's always taken care of me, and I know He loves me. I really wasn't trusting Him at this point in my life to take care of me. This just seemed too big for Him to take care of. And I realized all of a sudden that this was sin, that I wasn't trusting Him, and He wanted me to trust Him. So I had to confess it, and as I talked to Him about all this, I felt the first real peace and calm come into my life since really prior to the surgery. And in fact, as I think about it, it's probably the first peace and calm that I've ever really had, because controlling or trying to control things is really a very tiresome and exhausting kind of process. And so that particular day, I actually visualized myself falling into the Lord's arms, just letting go and giving it all up and saying, I'm releasing it all to you, Lord, and I'm going to trust you from now on. Lord, take hold and pull me through. Since then, I've really come to understand and to believe that my life is in God's hands, not mine. And He already knows the number of my days, how long I'm going to be here, and none of this that happened, none of these things that have happened in my life ever came as a surprise to God, and He's used every one of them to grow me and to help me to trust Him more. It's been 2 years since my surgery now, and I can honestly tell you that I have a deeper trust in the Lord. I believe He's healed me physically, but what He's done in me emotionally and in my relationship with Him is far more important. I know that Jesus really loves me and that He's waiting for me at the end of my life, however long that is. Through all of this, He's teaching me how to trust Him.
It's the moment.